So we've got a major new development in the nationwide fight against the ATF's pistol brace rule. The Trump DOJ recently agreed to drop the Biden pistol brace rule, and it's officially been vacated. Now, another major pistol brace lawsuit has also been dismissed by a court. But in the very last remaining pistol brace challenge, one of the big ones, something troubling has now happened. The ATF and DOJ are now openly suggesting that they may still be able to regulate brace pistols purely based on a legal theory, which means that this case is no longer just about striking down that old rule. It's also about stopping the ATF going forward from sneaking in maybe a new regulation on brace pistols and just doing it through the back door. So let's talk about what is now developed in this critical case. Now, before we jump into this video, if you guys want to support the channel, one of the best ways to do that is simply to subscribe. You can also turn on the notification bell and turn on all notifications, because that helps to ensure that YouTube will actually send you these videos once I release them. I also want to thank one of the main supporters of this channel, which is 1st Phorm. You guys know that 1st Phorm is an amazing company. They're pro-freedom, pro-America. They support the Second Amendment and what we talk about here on the channel. And maybe if you have a New Year's resolution and you're trying to get healthier, like myself, I'm trying to work out more, 10,000 steps a day, working out 4 times a week. I highly recommend that you check out 1st Phorm. I'm using their supplements. I highly recommend their protein powder. And right now, if you use my link down below and you order any supplements, you can get a free 5-pack of protein sticks. So if you've been following the channel for a while, you will know that this fight against the Biden administration's pistol brace rule has kind of been going on for a while. That rule essentially claimed that most brace pistols were actually short-barreled rifles under the NFA. So in response to that, multiple lawsuits were filed, and eventually Judge Reed O'Connor in the Northern District of Texas struck that rule down entirely in the mock case and issued a nationwide vacatur against the pistol brace rule. The Biden DOJ appealed that ruling up to the 5th Circuit, but after the administration changed over, the Trump DOJ decided to drop that appeal and they conceded the case. That meant that the pistol brace rule was officially struck down nationwide. Now, after that happened, most of the remaining pistol brace lawsuits were dismissed as moot because the ATF agreed that the rule was no longer in existence. But now there are some new developments in this whole pistol brace issue. So one of the newest updates that we have is one of the last 2 remaining pistol brace lawsuits, which was filed by the Second Amendment Foundation in Texas, has now also been formally dismissed with prejudice, and it has been found moot, and so that case has been dismissed. That means that SAF's pistol brace case is officially over, which leaves really only one big lawsuit left, challenging the pistol brace rule and this interpretation of brace pistols as SBRs under the NFA. And that is the lawsuit that was filed by GOA, Gun Owners of America, and the state of Texas against the ATF. And in this case, which is still standing, there have been some new developments which have kind of raised some red flags on whether it was actually a good idea for these other cases to be dismissed and dropped as moot. In the GOA case, they're asking for the court to do something very different than what some of these other lawsuits were asking for. They are now asking for the court to recognize that the brace rule is gone, but also they're asking for the court to issue a permanent injunction which would block the ATF from enforcing its underlying legal theory. So this legal theory was used to put in place the actual rule itself, but the legal theory has not been struck down by any of these cases. Now, that legal theory that the ATF still holds is essentially that braced pistols can be treated as short-barreled rifles under the NFA based purely on the statutory text and their interpretation of that text. In other words, GOA is trying to stop the ATF from saying, we're not enforcing the brace rule anymore, but we still believe that brace pistols are SBRs under the text and the statute alone. This case is designed to prevent any current or future administration from reviving the pistol brace restrictions without passing even a new rule. Now, here's where things are kind of getting concerning in this case. The Trump DOJ just filed its motion to dismiss this case, based on the mock lawsuit. And in that motion, the DOJ makes a statement that shows exactly why this case matters a lot. They say that the court cannot enjoin the ATF from enforcing legal theories, only final agency rules. They argue that because the pistol brace rule no longer exists, the court has no authority to block the ATF's interpretation that braced pistols are in fact SBRs. In other words, they are not denying that they hold that legal view at all. They are only saying that the court cannot stop them from using it, and that is a huge red flag. And so in this case, they're saying, the rule is dead, throw this case out, but you cannot touch any underlying legal theories that we have because that's not at issue in this case. GOA in Texas warned the court here in this case about this exact scenario. They told the judge that without a permanent injunction, the ATF could simply drop the formal rule, which they have, and then enforce the same restrictions by relying purely on the statutory definition of an SBR in the NFA. They explained that the mock case only struck down the rule on procedural grounds. It did not reject the ATF's underlying interpretation of the NFA, which essentially means that a future administration could revive pistol brace enforcement and restrictions without writing even a new rule. And they show that the ATF could selectively target gun owners, again using that same legal theory, not based on any rule. And that's kind of the sneaky part that GOA wants the court here to block. Now, in this case, the DOJ puts forward some main arguments for why this case is now moot and needs to be dismissed. They argue that there is no current rule on braced pistols, that has been dismissed and thrown out through the mock lawsuit. There is no final agency action anymore, and therefore the court has no jurisdiction to issue an injunction against their legal theories. But what they do not say in their response is, we will never regulate pistol braces ever again. They do not say that we reject the idea that braced pistols are SBRs. They simply say that the court cannot stop them from enforcing that theory. And it is this silence that kind of speaks volumes about maybe what this administration or future administrations could do going forward. So here's kind of the big picture with this case and where this leaves us now going forward. We now have the pistol brace rule vacated nationwide. That happened because of mock and a lot of these other cases settling and, being dismissed as moot. The SAF case was dismissed, which was one of the last remaining pistol brace cases. And then now you have the GOA case still standing. In this GOA case and the Texas lawsuit, they are standing and they want, the court here to place a permanent injunction against the legal theory that could be used going forward. In this case, they are raising alarms on what could happen going forward and what could go wrong if the court does not issue a permanent injunction against the ATF. This is now one of the only cases that can permanently shut the door on future pistol brace enforcement and, the enforcement or restrictions on brace pistols purely using this legal theory. This case is no longer about the Biden ATF pistol brace rule. It's about preventing the ATF from using the same interpretation again going forward. If GOA wins in this case, it blocks future administrations from resurrecting the whole pistol brace restrictions based purely on the legal theory, or maybe putting in place even a new rule in its place when a new administration gets control. And if GOA loses, the ATF keeps that weapon in its toolbox and once again could resurrect a pistol brace restriction if they want to in the future. So that's where things currently stand right now in this critical pistol brace battle. The Second Amendment Foundation case has now been dismissed as moot. It's been settled. The formal pistol brace rule has been struck down nationwide, so we don't have to worry about that rule itself. But GOA in this case is now kind of one of the last lines of defense to prevent the future rule from popping up, or maybe from the ATF trying to, in fact, enforce a pistol brace restriction purely based on the NFA's text. And really, this case may determine whether pistol brace restrictions are truly gone or if they're just waiting to come back in a new form, maybe from a new administration. So that's what's currently happening in this critical case. As we get more information, as it develops more, I will let you guys know. If you like this video and you would like to support the channel, one of the best ways to do that is simply to like, comment, and subscribe. Make sure you like this video. That tells the algorithm that you appreciate this type of two-way content and should share it to more people. But as always, thank you so much for all of your support. And never forget, this nation was built by armed scholars, and this nation will be maintained by armed scholars.